chat's got soul. From the gavel to the gas, we're watching it all. Cover in the courtroom, big case or small. Laugh when we can, cry when we must, but it's all real talk, you can count on us. We're not the pros, just fans who care, with popcorn in hand and a comfy chair. And every twist, we're right there, together like we're all in the witness chair. This is the Broken Baker, where the trials come alive, where the chat is wild and the vibes survive. We're watching the worst of what people do, but we keep it light, yeah, that's our truth. It's the only place for crime, and it feels just right. We bring the justice talk into your night, so hit that stream, don't miss the call. At the Broken Baker, we cover it all. Oh yeah. We're just flaming with the view, but we ask the things the world wants to. Digging through the facts, side by side. Even when it's dark, we bring the light. No clickbait, no fake feels, just truth and the highs and the reels. With the chat that roasts and rise, we're just here for the case and the vibes. This is the Broken Baker, where the stories unfold with a smile in the heart, even when it's cold. Yeah, we cover the bad with a wink and a grin, where the real talk starts, come on, jump in. It's the only place to be, can't you see? For trials and truth, it's BBTV. The Broken Baker, where the trials come alive. Yeah, we'll be here, trial after trial.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whoever you are, what if any you might be. And good Saturday morning. Saturday is for relaxation, garden work, and of course, looking at collision reconstruction reports from the Massachusetts State Police in the Karen Reed case. So I thought we should do that today. I don't have my grifter hat on. Thank you so much, Jemima, for giving me the grifter hat. Hey, Tracy girl. Love your new theme song. I've been catching very few lately. Still trying to find my son a safe place to land. Please keep playing. Yes, we will keep him in our minds and hope everything will go fine. This weekend goes so fast, it's like a lunch break. Well, I did my first stream 10 hours ago, so yeah, it's 11 hours ago. So it's been a little fast weekend, but nothing much going on this weekend, right, guys? Well, as I said, we have the collision reconstruction report. That's pretty new. And yesterday, 4,000 pages of emails by Morrissey apparently was given to the media. How, if any, we can get a hand on those, I don't know. It has to do with FOIA requests. I'm trying to figure out if we, in some way or fashion, can do a FOIA request as well. I most likely can't do it because am I covered by the laws of the American states, or can we swing it some other way? Because what I have seen in the clips of Meatball's text, that he used his private iCloud account to potentially circumvent the rules of FOIA, seems quite interesting. He sounds like a whiny B word, to say it mildly. Contacting mainstream media, buttering them up. Oh, such a good coverage you had the other day. And I saw one that Jess Machado shared. And when I read it, This is from Michael Morrissey's private iCloud to Yvonne Abraham at the Globe. I think that's a local newspaper. Sunday's article was well done. The district attorney's office tries to speak for victims, and there's only one set of victims in this case, the extended O'Keefe family. Meatball Morrissey, district attorney. When I saw this, I instantly thought, oh my God, now I know why they hate us alternative. I'm not a journalist, I'm an idiot. But you have great people out there who cover stuff. Aiden, of course, springs to mind. LTL, Mike, Declarer, who has more of a journalistic angle to it. Why they were so much against those people covering it, and then following Andrea Burkhardt, Emily D. Baker, Ian Runkle, Brother Counsel, all of the YouTubers who started covering it later, why they were treated so badly. It's because it's just like when I was in politics. You had the journos you talked to because you knew I'm going to give you this, you're going to give me that. And you can't really do that with us online people. Well, you can give us special access, and maybe you can get a hit piece in. I can't remember what that channel was called that I made a video about, who got every fact about Karen Reed wrong, but still claimed she was guilty. She was connected to someone. I don't know. I get all these political people in America, but yeah. It's freaking hot in Michigan, 92 degrees. It's a little bit in Denmark today. You can get them today on the Jess Mercado show today. She will drop a link in her chat at the end of her show. Interesting. But she'll most likely do it when I'm sleeping. I don't know when she streams. I wonder if they'll keep it sealed permanently. I hope not. No, because it's for already before I requested out. So it's open. The only thing that hasn't been opened yet are the sidebars. Hello, Ruthann. Jess will drop all 4,000 in her chat at the end of the show. She's live streaming. Oh, she's live streaming right now. Oh, I didn't see that. Well, I chose the perfect time to stream then. Just before she was on. Well, probably have a small audience, but people should go watch her. She's great. She is also one of the journalists. Was that just before the first trial? I didn't notice the date on it. We are always working. Don't you know, Jamie? Jamie doesn't give days off. I'm enjoying my weekend. I don't have weekends. But unredacted, no. The report I have is redacted as well. You won't get everything unredacted because it's sensitive. Addresses, maybe medical history, maybe certain things that is not allowed to come out there. So you won't get everything unredacted. Well, I thought I would do it now because, hey, and apparently Jess is also live. So she's going to cover it as well. But I know she does segments. So maybe I can be done and you can go watch the tail end of her show. Always, always, always watch everything Micro does. It's some of the highest quality videos you can get on the line, both visually and informative. To be fair, EDB didn't really get involved. There was a time where she said she thought the judge was doing nothing wrong. She didn't go deep into the trial. I used to watch her. Well, EDB is like me. We see a case, we'll go on to it, and we'll make up our mind. And I know a lot of people got upset about Lawyer, and EDB, that they weren't instantly free Karen Reed like the rest of us. But in all fairness, this is how you should cover cases. I was free Karen Reed because I spent a year before the first trial watching every single hearing. If you started at the first trial or the second trial, yeah, you would have to let it mellow. You'll have to look at the evidence and you'll have to say, oh, that was interesting. And I can understand that they, especially also because they're lawyers, they will be a little more fence-sitting than we will. I can have whatever opinion I will. Of course, they can too, but they have a professional reputation they have to try and protect. I can say whatever I want. I'm a stupid baker from Denmark. I'm not a lawyer, but they are, and they will, of course, try and say, okay, let's keep a fair eye on it. And I think, as her background is as a prosecutor, I kind of got the feeling she was very surprised at the end of the second trial how far from what she would deem acceptable the prosecution strayed. So you don't want all of us to have the same opinion either, because then you can just have one channel. Because why should we all have the same opinions, cover the same stuff, say the same things? So I can understand why people who come in late, it's the same with the Donna Adelson case. I don't know anything about it. I watched the hearing yesterday. I'll have to make up my mind while I watch it. So I will be a little more fence sitting than someone who has watched all the previous trials. I think Jess checked and she said she can't release them. Well, we will try and see if they're released, or else I'll try and see if we can maybe do a FOIA request. And I don't know if, because there was one drop and then there was another drop. So I don't know which of them Jess is covering. When it's obvious corruption, you have to call it out. Yes, but you won't see the obvious corruption if you start on the first day of the Karen Read trial. And you don't have to call anything out. There's a lot of people out there who has great YouTube channels who never ever mention anything like that. There's also a lot of people out there who has YouTube channels who will fill you with bullshit because they know if they make a clickbaity title, Karen Read was innocently framed, and this is how you can tell it. Watch my video today. That video will have 50,000 views. 50,000 views is a little bit of cassiola. And they will tell you, well, you can see it because the snow wasn't really as bad, which would be bullshit, but you would have clicked and you would have liked. So think of Sean McDonough, the guy who lied to everyone about his special access. Yes, I know a lot of people liked him. I thought he was a drunken idiot who sold you shit. But because he had a clickbait approach to YouTubing, he grew massively. I was the guy sitting on the other end saying, no, I can't talk about Colin. I can't talk about Brian Albert because it hasn't been proven in court. He didn't care about shit. The feds are going to be here. There will never be a trial one. Oh, trial one started. Well, it's a special setup, and I know this because my team of 5 have special insights. Karen Read didn't say happy birthday. I'm going to stream with Krusty. So you'll get both sides. You'll get the ones who just go after it because, hey, there's a market. I'm going to get super chats. I'm going to get clicks, equal money, and I'm going to get subscribers. Or you will have someone like me who sometimes makes a little clickbaity things, but try and keep it to the what's been shown. Or you will have people who just come fresh into it. And that's the good thing. You need the plurality of opinions, but don't be a clickbaiter. I know a lot of people thought that Peter went way too far in being fair. He actually, there was a lot of people who were surprised. He didn't go full Karen Read till after EDB did it. But again, who am I to judge? I'm just a stupid baker. Filorowski, you better stay inside today. You like Sean? Well, that's fine. Sean was a big liar. Sean sold you nothing but smoke and mirrors. And Sean loved all the attention he got. And that's why he got pissed off when people started saying, well, Sean, nothing you have said has come true. I didn't like him from the beginning. I hold my shut my mouth with all the bullshit he spewed, because I had people coming in every single day in my chat saying, "Oh, did you hear Sean McDonough said that yesterday?" And it was pure bullshit, and everyone knew it. But it works, because if I promise you the most absurd thing in the world, you want to believe it, because you want to believe Karen Reed will be freed by the feds. And when she's not, you're just going to attack Aiden and say, well, Aiden is behind all of it. No. Sean, sadly, was what there's a lot of people on YouTube who is. He was a loudmouth who would throw everything out the window just to get a big YouTube channel. And it's okay. Grifters gonna grift, and the grift he chose is a good grift. You get really big, and you crash and burn faster than the Hindenburg, because you can't sustain the drama when the facts starts coming out. That's not what I said. I said he lied to you about what he knew. I don't care what he believed. I cared that he lied to, he would sit with thousands of viewers and he would just lie to you. Based on, it would be the same as I said, hey, everyone, did you hear about the new troop movements in Tingawala? As a former soldier, I can tell you this is because, and I still have friends who serve in the military, and this will lead to an atomic strike within 2 days. Trust me, because I used to be in the military. I still have a lot of friends in the military. I did 2 tours in the military. I have connections to the American military, so I have these special insights. I can't show you any of the communications we've had, but I can tell you, because of the troop movements we saw in Tingawala yesterday, I would stock up on iodine and canned Campbell soup. And when you come back in 3 days and said, that didn't happen, no, I have these special Mossad leaks that told me that in the last minute, Superman came in and destroyed the nuclear bomb. But I have special access to military intelligence. If I sit here and say that every day, I would have a great channel. People would love it, because people love conspiracies and people love to think that there is good guys and bad guys, and the good guys will save you. Sean was proven by the federal government that there is no good guys, and he was full of bullshit. And still people will fight for him on Twitter, say, well, he's a good guy. You know, he was just a little brash. No, he was a liar. I'm sorry. I didn't like him, and I won't talk about it more. Normally, I don't shit on other YouTubers, but that guy caused more cancer in the Free Can Read movement than a lot of others. Sorry. Nothing will ever be done to capture John O'Keefe's murderers, because you can't do it. And one of the reasons why you can't do it is because you have reports like this one. Let's get to the topic of the day instead of just shitting on retired people who might drink too much. This is the Massachusetts State Police Collision Analysis and Reconstruction Section Collision Reconstruction Report. Requesting agency, that's MSP Norfolk Detectives. Okay, that's fine. Date recorded the 29th of January at 2:30. When did Karen Reed allegedly hit John O'Keefe? Anyone remember that? The 29th of January at 12:32. The same day at 2:30, they still haven't found anything at the scene that would describe anything to do with her Lexus. They haven't had her Lexus so far. We only have Jen McCabe saying, she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. But at 2:30, when Trooper Michael Proctor is in a car going to Karen Reed's parents' address to take a look at that car. Remember, he didn't call the towing company till he arrived there. Well, that's bullshit because he did. But apparently, he made a request before he saw the Lexus to make a crash reconstruction. They are great detectives, right? And who did it? Joseph W. Paul. Trooper Paul, the man who said science and stuff in court. When did it happen? At January 29th at 00:15. That's also off because at this time they were driving from the Waterfall Bar. You submitted a FOIA to be determined if they'll respond, but I'll follow up and post publicly as soon as they do. We will be trying to pressure them. I'm technically a media production company, so maybe I can use my Baker Media to push them a bit. Hey, Shannon. Oh, someone is having a good day, not Fedorowski. Has Paul been reassigned? I actually don't know where Paul is. But the report. First, you have a summary. Trooper Paul, he wasn't on call at 12:15 a.m. There's one vehicle where the speed limit was 30 miles per hour, and at Fairview Road in Canton, Massachusetts. And then we get to the first thing I found interesting. The weather is snow. That's fine. The light, it was dark, lighted roadway. All of this is kind of like we know. Road surface, snow. Maybe not so much snow, but still. And this is just what happened. Lexus backing up pedestrian, and it hit in this rear corner, and there was damages for over $1,000. Nothing, no airbag was deployed, no ejection code, no trap code, no injury status, and no one was transported. So that was just kind of a summary. Then we get into it. Yeah, Judd Welcher is still with Aperture. We will look at Trooper Paul's reconstruction later, and you will tell me if you are owed $400,000 from the DA's office. I looked at the report. I think that Aperture. Well, I have a theory that I might do a poll on. Keep this in mind. Is Trooper Paul's report written after he got Apertures, or is it before an Aperture stole his homework? Because when we go to his report, it's exactly the same, in my opinion, that Aperture made. Aperture was brazen enough that they stole $400,000 out of the taxpayer pocket. Not officially, they did a job for it. I have to cover my ass legally. But when I read this report, I can't tell which one came first because it looks exactly like they were made, mirroring each other. Hey, Nick. Because he said it in his contract. Oh, did I miss something? Hey, Ocean's Daughter. Welcome back. Are you sure? Because then the money they paid for Aperture is even less worth than if he copied their work. On Saturday 29th, a single vehicle collision involving a pedestrian occurred around Fairview 34. On January 29th, at approximately 2:30 in the afternoon, I was assigned to reconstruct this collision by Brian Mahoney from CARS. I arrived at the Canton Police Department on February 1st at approximately 10:45 hours. How could he at this point be assigned to do this collision report? No one knew the state of the Lexus. I was met at the Canton Police Department and was assisted in this reconstruction by Trooper Zach Clark, don't know him, Michael Proctor, Trooper Carol Lurini, I don't know, Sean Goode from the Canton PD, which was assigned to the primary investigator. At this point, I believe that Canton PD had conflicted out of it. So what is Sean Goode doing in this investigation? The scope of this trooper's investigation was limited to the reconstruction of the collision. And now we get into a very, very, very interesting part. The weather conditions. Remember, both trials, the weather was horrible. It was a snowstorm. No one could see anyone. The weather condition at the time of the crash was light snow and the asphalt roadway was wet. The light snow has started at approximately 11:34 p.m. Lighting conditions was nighttime with overhead mounted lights in the area. The light snow continued through the night and then it transitioned to heavy snow throughout the day. This is why I'm wondering, when was this report written? We sat through 2 trials where even though they had a meteorologist on the stand, and even though they apparently had this collision report stating that there was no heavy snow when he was hit, when people left, and when they came back in the morning. This is how I read it. That imaginary snowstorm that they are all talking about, that didn't happen till later, right? Why did they use a different language in 2 trials? Is that fair? I don't know. Hey, Mountain Grill. Shows the lens the government will go to get a conviction. Exactly. What does the footnote say? It is just Wunderground History Data, US, Massachusetts, East Boston, KBO's date 28th and 29th. So it's just a weather map. But I can't read this in any other way than the heavy snow wasn't till later, after John's body was found. But maybe I'm wrong. Then we get some establishing shot, which clearly shows you that these pictures is not taken by him at the scene. And the collision occurred at Fairview and was in the area with the GPS coordinates. Fairview is an undivided 2-lane road. This is not. This is just the area. Then we have this drone footage. We know this drone footage from the trial. This is the one where they only have partial markings on the map for where they found stuff, where everything were in the final place. Remember the fire hydrant he didn't know was part of the debris zone, just because, yeah, he wasn't that smart. But and I have to mute Discord when I am live because people are chit-chatting. But we saw this one in trial as well. And that's the evidence diagram that no one could tell you how they got. Just someone took it down and, yeah, it's fine. And there's a footnote to something I can see. I don't know where the footnote is from. Oh, it's just a speed limit. Doesn't matter. Roadway evidence. I arrived at the scene of the collision on February 1st at approximately 10:45. Canton PD assisted with identifying the final rest location of the pedestrian and evidence related to this collision. Now I have to ask all of you. Didn't Trooper Paul state on the stand he never ever went to Fairview 34? He relied on the reports given to him by the police. Am I totally wrong about that part? Because that's how I remember it, that he was only observing from the outside. He never ever went to Fairview. Stephen says, yes, I trust Stephen. No, because I don't have them, but I started out by saying I will try and get them. Yeah, right? Well, I probably could go back and look for it, but I don't do homework. Yeah, he estimated the report from the position from the reports. He did say the crime scene spoke to him, maybe meant pictures. This is one of the things where I believe this was written by Goode. No, because this is written by Trooper Paul. As you can see up here. Primary investigator, Michael Proctor. Reconstructionist assigned Trooper Paul. This is Trooper Paul's. Goode was assisting in this one. But I clearly remember that I lost my mind because the crash reconstructionist never ever went to the scene. But he claims that he was there at 10:45 on February 1st. On January 29th, the Massachusetts CERT team was activated to assist in searching for potential evidence outside of 34 Fairview. When looking at Fairview from the road, there's a fire hydrant on the far left of the property. Members of CERT located a single Nike sneaker, black with a white Nike logo along the side. The sneaker located by CERT matches the one sneaker the victim was wearing at the time he was transported by EMS. In the same area, 2 red plastic pieces and 1 clear plastic piece of the taillight was discovered, consisting with the missing pieces on the black Lexus. Would you be... Another thing. We know how much was found at the scene by the CERT team. It was roughly this much from a taillight. Would you say it's consistent with the pieces missing from the taillight when so much is missing? Or would it be consistent with what is missing if you go by what the guy down in, is it Dedham, the other cop was from, and saying there was roughly this much missing in the middle of the taillight? I don't know. To me, I would never say it's consistent when you find this much plastic out of this much missing plastic. But maybe that wasn't me. The sneaker was found by the search team on the 29th in the afternoon. That's actually true, because they said we were trying to dig the curb free so we could see and orient it, and then that's why we found it. Yeah, I don't know how he could tell at that point. I thought Trooper Pirouette did go to the scene. Remember, the scene spoke to him. Yeah, but I think the reports did it. No, I'm 100% sure that he said he never went to the scene. Remember, at some point there were 2 crime scenes, because the Sally Port was also I actually think that was in relation to Trooper Paul, where they asked, did you ever go to the crime scene? Yes, I went to the Sally Port. But did you go to the crime scene? Well, the car was there, so we designated it as the crime scene, or something like that. I'm thinking back, it's a year since we heard it. But I believe that's when the Sally Port became the crime scene, was because, well, the Lexus was there, and that was the murder weapon, so this is the crime scene. or was it when they tried to lie and say that Michael Proctor never went to the crime scene? It was one of those two. So maybe he believes that the Sally Port is a crime scene. He did get us the POED. On January 29th, they found the shoe. The pedestrian came to an uncontrolled final rest alongside the left side of the grass front yard to Fairview Road and was approximately 7 feet west from the edge of the roadway. How do they know? There's no establishing shot of that. And remember, during the first trial, it was everywhere from 8 to 20 feet off the road. Several items of interest was located at the scene. Each item was measured for the pedestrian's final rest. So his shoe is at the southbound roadway. A glass cup was on the front yard, 1 feet away from him. Red plastic, 7 feet away from him. Oh, the shoe is 9 feet away from him. Clear plastic, 10 feet away. And red plastic, 12 feet away. Some debris field. Imagine that all the smallest debris flies the longest. The crash scene was documented during the on-scene investigation by utilizing a Leica GNSS GPS mapping system and a blah blah. This data was input to a computer-aided diagram program to produce a scale diagram of this collision. See attached. I can't see that anywhere, but maybe I missed it. Paul didn't know where John had been. He was given the info by Lank. He admitted that on the stand. Thank you, Kirk. He was never at the scene. And he just put in his report that he was at the scene and they told him where he was. A drone was found. Wasn't that first Aperture who put up the drone? Yeah, all of this, in my opinion, is hearsay based on hearsay because he never went there. He didn't check it out. No, that's the thing, because no one knows where John's body was because no one marked where John's body was. So all of this is just pure bullshit. But again, this just shows you this is how we do it in Massachusetts. We don't care about facts. We will put whatever. And this report, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I bet you it was written or altered around the second trial. The first trial, sorry. The first trial. Because that he was called to do an assist at the crash scene at 2:30 when no one had seen the SUV. No one had found the tennis shoe because the search team didn't start till around 5 in the afternoon. How was he called to assist on the 29th at 2:30 in the afternoon, but didn't look at it till February 1st in the morning? All of it, I understand why they went hard on this guy, because I think he's the smallest cock in the changing room. And all the other have just said, hey, put this in your report. Allegedly, maybe. No, haven't been turned over yet. I think Chloe the dog was secretly a glass-blowing dog who made great glass solo cups. Maybe that's why they all loved her so much. As shown in the Miles King case, MSP writes report whenever they feel and likes to backdate them. And I believe most of these reports in the Karen Reed case was backdated. As you saw, if you were on Twitter today, Michael Morrissey was begging for $1 million to run the case against Karen Reed because he was up against a well-founded defense. No, you were up against a defense that had all the facts. You had just hoped that she would roll over and die, and you could do your shitty work that you normally do. Yes, according to the dash cam, he looks to be maybe 3-4 feet off the road. So why they have him somewhere between 7 and 20 feet, I don't know. This is Paul's, and Trooper Goode wasn't there till the till the first. But Trooper Paul was told to do the investigation at 2:30, and then he met up with Goode on the 1st of September. It's in the beginning. Where can you download a flowchart? It depends on what flowchart you want. Who was it that couldn't get approved for a drone then? I remember someone saying it was a no-fly for anyone using a part 107 BC 34. It's just across. I believe it's Trooper Paul who said they couldn't do the overhead shots because they weren't allowed. It's a no-fly zone, and then Aperture made them. I may be wrong, but I think so. The Lexus operator data. The operator, Karen Reed, was not injured. Her Massachusetts Class D driver's license was active, no restriction. There was no evidence of the operator being buckled or unbuckled at the time of the collision. And this is the car in the Sally Port. Just looking to see if there's something we haven't noticed in the pictures before. Then he marks that here be scratches. There's a dent here. There's a broken tail light. We all seen these pictures. And then he points to this part of the bumper and said there's glass. But am I completely wrong that it was on this side they found glass during the trial? This is where she testified the glass was, but I might be wrong. And then there's some scratches. Scratches on this side of the bumper could be consistent with her hitting a car. Maybe, potentially. During my inspection, I analyzed the right rear of the Toyota for damage that was related to this collision. I located a dent along the right rear. This dent was approximately 48 to 50 inches from the ground and approximately 19 inches from the right side. Scratches was located just above this point. The right rear tail light was shattered with missing red and clear plastic pieces. There were scratch marks along the right side of the bumper. These marks were approximately 27-28 inches from the ground. Glass not associated with a part of the vehicle and possibly from a cup or bottle was located along the top right side of the rear bumper. And then we are just going through it. There was nothing to see. Everything was fine. Then we have the mechanical. There's no thing to note. And the tires was all inside pressure. And I think they had the correct tire depth. I don't know how much tires you need in America. An inspection of the Lexus involved revealed no evidence of mechanical malfunction that may have contributed to this collision. A check with NHTSA revealed there was no outstanding recalls. On February 1st, approximately 1 o'clock, the Lexus braking and acceleration were tested on the wet asphalt parking lot at the Canton Police Department. A V-Box Sport was attached to the center of the windshield, and several braking and acceleration tests were conducted. And this is where I have to commend the Canton PD. You are 29th, 30th, 31st, 3.5 days after this collision, less than 3 days after John is finally declared dead, and you take this car into custody, you have already determined that you need to do these acceleration and braking tests. You already have a clear picture of what must have happened. So I must commend you. This is good police working. 3 days and they already know, okay, she hit him with the car. No questions. You hadn't even interviewed half of the people about it. And you already knew Karen Reed struck John O'Keefe with her car going in reverse. Right? there was a rumor about tool markings being present by the defense to show the taillight shenanigans. Why? Well, it wasn't shown in court, so so far nothing is true of that. It hasn't been presented. Listen, Turtle. BN Trouble proved they would need to use a crowbar or similar. Yeah, or at least his arm would need to be ripped off. Hey, Coke. This is exactly it. They already had the narrative. And I don't know if, oh, that's the wrong one. If you ever did this in school, when you had to solve equations, you would get given the answer and X, and then you had to figure out what Y was by working backwards. Because if X is 2 and the answer is 10, Y must be 5, because X times Y. It seems like we did this in this order. Karen Reed must have hit John O'Keefe with her car. How do we prove this? Well, we have this broken tail light, remember? And we don't have any injuries per se to him, but hey, she has a broken tail light. They're going to buy that. How fast did she need to go? And how is this car reacting? Go out and do some brake testing. When I see this and the timeliness they did this with, when we know how long it normally takes to investigate something, that they already were doing brake tests the third day after, I'm impressed. I am impressed. Yeah. 2 reverse acceleration tests was completed and revealed the vehicle has an average acceleration factor of blah 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 blah. This is technical stuff. How fast it accelerates. 2 braking tests was complete and revealed the vehicle had an average deceleration factor of 0.76. Each test was completed at 30 miles per hour, and the vehicle continued in a straight line. Noted during these tests, the brake pedal was firm without pulsation, and the vehicle did not leave any skid marks on the asphalt surface. So this is what he's doing. Fine. And they do some forward braking tests, which they don't need to find out how long the deacceleration is on the first one. Then we have the airbag, not useful as it's not deployed. This vehicle is equipped with a Lexus safety system, LSS Plus. Lexus vehicles equipped with the LSS Plus can record information useful in reconstruction and collision. The LSS Plus is a suite of safety innovations and technologies. It may include features such as a pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, lane departure alert, and steering assist, automatic high beams, and dynamic radar cruise control. When the safety system activates or under certain parameters such as a hard brake, hard acceleration, steering limits, DTC creation, they may be recorded as triggers in the vehicle control history. Triggers in the VCH may record extensive data about the operation of the vehicle before and during the event, including speed, distance to hazard, driver reaction, braking, steering, etc., daytime, key cycle, and possibly a series of black and white low-resolution images of the event. The data that was created by the Lexus can be accessed through a software application called Toyota TechStream. TechStream is a diagnostic tool that was created by Toyota for their technicians to view onboard vehicle data, browse relevant TIS service documents, and reprogram vehicles. The data created by the Lexus can be addressed through the Diagnostic Links connector. A search warrant was obtained on February 2nd, 2023. When did this happen? Why is this wasn't it 2022 she hit him? Allegedly. Is this report dated? Date recorded January 29, 2022. Time recorded. How does he know what he's going to do in a year? So they don't obtain or go and try and get the text stream data from the Lexus till a year later? Or is this one of another small spelling mistakes in another report from the MSP? Because again, they didn't try and get, sorry, I lost my way. I should see what page I'm on before I go back and forth. We are almost there. Now we're at the key cycles. But why didn't they try and get this data till a year later? If this is not as a typo, isn't this weird? The VCH was imaged on February 2nd, 2023 at 12:50 hours via DLC port. The odometers at the time of imagining was 12666, number of the beast. He does the test, the driving test. And here he claims the ACM was imaged on February 1st, 2022 at 12:12 via diagnostic link. There was no events recorded via the bus crash data retrieval. And then in point 2022, they did the Toyota download a year later. Or is this wrong? What? Devil's advocate, this might just be standard test for any collision report. Yes, I am pretty sure that, and this will lead me to my next point, because this is standard. You go into the DLS port, you know it from your car. When you get it to service, they'll chuck in a little reader, and they'll punch in, and then they will charge you $1,000 for doing that. And they will tell you, yeah, it's fine. See you in a year. Why couldn't they download all the stuff when they claimed they mirrored the images on these 2 days? But apparently the data was corrupt. They couldn't see anything on either of this other than this trigger report we have seen so many times. Remember, they needed to do chip-offs because you couldn't download these reports. He just stated that you can use either the bus system or the Toyota system. One of them is for the collision report, and the other one is just the diagnostics for the car. Probably give you the same data plus other less relevant data. 665 is also neighbor to the beast. No, Karen Reed was... It happened in 29th of 2022. But the download happened a year later. He did one download in 2022 and the other one in 2023. That makes no sense. Was that Coroner that couldn't read the car's info? Well, he said he had an image of it, and you just have to read it through the diagnostics element. Yeah, the Toyota software will give you the same as the Bosch, and then it'll give you more, because Bosch is will just comb it with the white tooth comb, and the Toyota will be the kind of like the comb you used when you had lice. The VCH report showed 22 separate triggers that occurred on odometer mileage 12,665, 12,666, and key cycle 1164. Remember, the key cycle 1162 was what they claimed in the second trial. Wasn't it 1150 something in the first trial? I might be wrong. These were the last 22 events in the report, and they can be related to the testing done on February 1st, 2022. The mileage noted at the time was 1266 and 65 and 665 and 1266, 666. And we'll see odometer, blah, 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 accelerator. We've seen all of this. There were 2 triggers recorded on odometer mile 12629 and key cycle 1162. These events were prior to the testing triggers on odometer reading 12,665, 666, and a key cycle 1164. The mileage difference between these 2 triggers and the triggers that occurred while testing was 36 miles, and the key cycle difference was 2 key cycles. SPDU noted the Lexus path of travel after leaving Fairview. These locations were given to me, and I used Google to map out each direction based on Google Maps' suggested direction. The total distance the Lexus could have traveled was between 36.1 and 38.8 miles. It is likely these 2 events occurred at the same time the Lexus was at 34 Fairview at the time of this collision. Well, is it? Because if the minimum distance is 36.1 and the Lexus tells you there was 36 miles, she couldn't have sneezed and done an overtake on the road, because that would have added miles to her trip. She must have taken the smallest route and driven it just like Google does, in a straight line with no interference, for this one to line up. During 2022, Lally kept going into court to say the software hadn't been updated to read the data from the car. More lies from Lally, because they hadn't even applied for a run until 2023. Not according to this report. Maybe it's a typo, but still, if the data, if the implements was used was the Bosch and the Toyota sticks, it doesn't matter what data it was, because it would just read it. This is what it does. I'm taking my car to get serviced next week, I think, and they'll just plug it in. My car is an old shitty car that's not connected to the internet. That hasn't been updated. This is a high fancy new Lexus. So of course, Toyota's reader will be able to read anything that is on the black box in that car. It's another stupid Lallyism where he lied to the court and got away with it because no one cared about the truth in this case. 1162 was said to be Karen Reed backing up. Paul started his testing at 1165. Ergo 62 was the tow driver taking the car from the Reed's driveway. Yes, because this is the thing. When we now see this one, these are the directions for the 36 miles. That's Fairview to One Meadows. One Meadows to Waterfall Bar and Grill. Waterfall Bar and Grill to Country Lane. That must be Jen. Country Lane back to Meadows. And One Meadows to Canton to 345 Country Hill. That must be her parents. Total minimum distance, 36.1 miles. We know that the car is then moved in the driveway, backed up, and driven up onto a tow truck. It is then driven off a tow truck into a sally port. And if I can speculate like another person I just yelled about in the beginning of my show, I will still claim that the Lexus had been in the Sally port before the video we saw because of the snow on the floor. It lines up too perfectly with the tires on the Lexus. So I think it has done at least 2 trips at the Sally port. So that's at least, let's be good. It's 2 key cycles that you need to account for, but it's also distance. He said, if you go through all of this, you would land at a minimum distance of 36.1 miles. But the keystrokes, key cycles, are only 36 miles apart. But you don't account for when you obtained the car and put it on the tow bed. Don't account for you took it off the tow bed. Well, I'm just a baker. I know it's Bev, so I'm getting my hopes up for nothing, but I'm hopeful she'll release sidebars. They should be good. I think you're right. She won't release it. She'll keep claiming that there's something, an ongoing investigation or something like that. So they won't be released. Or not till very, very much later. Baker is lying. A crap car is just a cover story. He drives a Lambo he bought with all the grifter money he has made. I drive a 2014 Opel. And it's actually beginning to look like it needs to be changed out. Blah. I don't have the money for that one. I need to grift harder. Thank you, Sax, for my new car fund. Baker is imbecilically faturous in 3 languages. I am stupid fat in 3 languages. I understand Latinos. And is Trooper Paul still employed? Yes, he is. I haven't heard anything about it. He's the one who went under the radar. At one point, Tully had Karen's car going twice the speed of sound and was caught out when he was on the stand. Hey, technically, it could have gone into space. The less tech your car has, the less it'll cost you to maintain. Most new cars require updates you have to pay for, and some won't even drive right. Yeah, and I saw that that drive yourself, that's not allowed in Denmark, so I hadn't seen it until I came to the US. You have to pay a monthly subscription to have that. That's just BS. If I buy a car, either give it, the shit I have on it when I buy it is mine, or don't put it in there. Then make it an extra that I can buy. Sidebars are part of the trial transcript, but since there's no appeal, you have to pay the full cost. Yeah, but still, I don't think Bev will release them so far, because she'll probably say that it's related to other investigations, so she can't release it. Yeah, I know I'm fat and ugly. And then we have accelerator pedal opening angle is medium or high immediately after shifting to reverse. 12.629 miles. And we've all seen this chart. We looked at it a million trillion times during the trial. You have the steering signals, you have time on the trigger, vehicle speed, that it's positive, 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 stop, 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 positive, 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 stop, positive, positive. The first trigger will be labeled as 12.629 miles and was recorded as accelerator pedal opening angle is medium or high immediately after shifting to reverse. 12.629 was the odometer mileage at the time of this trigger. The trigger was recorded on the VCH time of 657-4 seconds and the key cycle 1162. The total time that was recorded was 10 seconds. It had 4.6 seconds of pre-trigger information and 5.4 seconds of post-trigger information. So this is when he tested it. Or what? No, this can't be right. No, this is when he claims it happened. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure this out. The trigger occurred when the vehicle was shifted into reverse at 4 seconds and the accelerator pedal started to increase from 0 at 4.0 seconds till 50.5% from 5.5 and 6 seconds. The accelerator opening ratio occurs when the operator pushes the accelerator pedal any amount. So you don't have, remember they said, oh, she had the throttle at 75%. Is this to be read like it doesn't matter how much you touch the accelerator, it'll open in these percentages anyway? So if she had it at, let's say, 50%, would it still slowly amp up? Or if she had it at 25, would it still end the same place? I'm not sure. The vehicle during this event appears to be driving, taking a left turn while slowing down from 9.9 miles per hour, 16 kilometers, to 0 miles per hour, or 0 kilometers. It stopped for 1 second and was placed into reverse. The accelerator pedal was pressed and was increased from 6% to 50.5%, from 4.5 to 6.5 seconds. The vehicle then traveled in reverse while turning right. The vehicle stopped and placed back into drive. The vehicle then went forward while turning left. Okay. And then we have the same chart. No, this is the second one. The second trigger will be labeled 12629. Wasn't the other ones labeled 629? Yeah, 629A. Oh, it's going to be 629B. Yes. And was recorded as accelerator pedal opening angle is medium or higher immediately after shifting to reverse. 12629 was the odometer mileage at the time of this trigger. This is the same mileage as the previous trigger. This trigger was recorded at the VCH time of 1142.2 seconds. 484.4 seconds or 8.08 minutes after previous triggered event and key cycle 1162. The same key cycle as the previous trigger. The total time that was recorded was 10 seconds. It has 4.7 seconds of pre-trigger information and 5.3 seconds of post-trigger information. The trigger occurred when the vehicle was shifted into reverse at 4 seconds and the accelerator pedal started to increase from 0 to 63%. The accelerator continued to increase to 74.5%. It stayed around 74 for the rest of the trigger. During the increase of the accelerator, the vehicle went from 0 miles per hour at 5 seconds at an indicated speed at 24.2 miles per hour at 9 seconds. It stayed around 23 miles per hour the rest of the trigger. The vehicle doing this event appears to be driving and slowing down from 13.7 miles per hour. It stopped for 1.5 seconds and was placed into reverse. The accelerator pedal increased from 0 to 74.5%, from 4 to 8.5 seconds. The vehicle traveled in reverse rapidly while staying fairly straight with small deviations in the steering angle to the left and the right. The speed of the Lexus drops from 24.2 miles per hour to 23.6 miles per hour in half a second. The steering input changes from a positive 4.5 degrees to a negative 4.5 degrees, with the accelerator pedal at a steady 74%. It should be noted the steering wheel angle can be changed by operator steering input or the front tires interacting with an object or roadway, or even the vehicle body moving laterally. If any of you go out and put your hands at 4.5 degrees left and then move it to 4.5 degrees right, I'm not even sure your front tires would move at that point. That's 9 degrees that you're moving. This is the big impact point where she hits a 240-pound body. And all the steering wheel does is this. I'm pretty sure that's bullshit. But hey, I'm just a baker. Yeah, all of these numbers, the numbers are gone soon. Then we get to the pictures. Then we can all be happy again. Zach, that's why he's annoying in chat, because he can only read pictures. But his mom says he's a good boy. Generally, anything that could cause the steering wheel to turn. It is possible this is where the pedestrian was struck. So he actually gives you a point where the pedestrian was struck. Remember, no one knows when it happened, but it happened. That was Aperture's report. Due to the sudden negative change of speed, which is 0.6 miles per hour. Is that a sudden negative change of speed? However, the vehicle was accelerating on a snow-covered surface, and while the operator was depressing the accelerator 74%, the engine computer was only commanding a maximum of 32% throttle doing the reverse movement. And this is where I wish I knew a mechanic. Because could this be consistent with the wheels spinning on a slippery surface? Because you all know this, you get stuck in the snow. Well, you people who live down south probably don't know it. You get stuck in a bit of snow and you start doing the... But in my car, even my old shitty car, I have anti-skid. So it'll stop me from over revving and just spinning my wheels and digging myself further. When I read this, because there was a big point, she had the accelerator 3/4 down, because that sounds nefarious. But the engine didn't put out power to the wheels at more than 32% throttle, which is less than 1/3 of the way down. Anyone who knows if this could be consistent with an anti-spin system trying to keep someone who just want to bury their front tires in a car in the ground because it's on snow. Because when I read this, and they are basing everything on how nefarious the 75% depressed throttle was, but the engine didn't put the power to the wheels, because the engine is smarter than you are. And it must have said, well, we don't need that power because we don't have any traction. Does it seem real? I just feel this, to me, kind of implies that the motor control unit knows, don't send this power to the wheels because it's a waste of power on the wheels. You will just spin. Wouldn't that be consistent? For instance, and I'm just speculating here, someone sitting in a driveway in a lot of snow, trying to back out where we can clearly see that the wheels are spinning because there's a lot of snow in the driveway at that time. Couldn't this be consistent with someone who thinks, I'm just going to gun it and push my way through this? This is a big engine. This motor can handle it. And then the motor saying, I have to temper this guy because he's trying to spin his wheels on the surface. I don't know. They never really explained what a trigger even is. What causes a trigger event? All of this is suspensorious to me. Just seems like the car computer notices a change in the car state. They claim triggers only happen if something interesting happens, but someone driving forward and then putting it in reverse and driving backwards, I can't see what it should be. Wouldn't it have started to trigger when it hits something? Because someone hitting someone at 240 pounds isn't just a small little bump where you have you're a truck driver. You have more give in your steering wheel than 9 degrees. Or you have a boss who really gives you a nice truck. Because back when I drove trucks in the military, you could sit like this all day and it wouldn't touch the front wheels. Could I reach out to BNN Trouble 31? I don't know him. I don't know if he's a mechanic or whatever, but I just think this is, yeah, it's the safety equipment, right? So to me, were there a lot of snow? Weren't it just enough to see a cataract? No, at the parents. Can I find it easily? Maybe I can find a video quite easy, and then I'll try and. It might not be one of the videos people have clipped. Carry tow truck. No, this is Kenry's car. No. No, I don't. No, I can't. If anyone knows where there's an easy clip to get of the tow truck, I would like to show it because I believe you see the wheel spinning. Remember, it's a shitty. Parents' house. This is a stupid TikTok. Is it on Barrow's testimony? Yeah. Yes. Let's do this. I'll go full screen so you can see as much as possible.
Do you recognize this scene generally?
I do.
Do you recognize it as being, what do you recognize as being?
This is the Reed residence.
Do you see some vehicles in that still shot on the video?
I do.
Describe what you see.
That tow truck is diamond towing, and that other vehicle that's at the rear of that tow truck is the Lexus SUV.
If we could, with the court's permission, zoom in. It's high on the screen, correct?
What's that?
The vehicles are high on the screen as we're
Correct.
looking at it. Could we?
I don't know if they're going to play it, but you can see that the snow is way deeper down here. This is after she has been to the hospital and driven down here. And as you can see, her tires are covered in snow within them. I just hope that
Zoom in.
We maybe could
to the
see the
top left portion of the screen. Okay.
No. Sadly, no.
Can we play this video?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
See? Driving forward and then instantly putting it in reverse. Could be interesting to time out these key cycles. And you see the tire slip there. And you see
Can you see what's depicted in the still image of that video right now?
I can.
But if a quick transition from forward to reverse gives you a trigger, there should be a trigger because
Portion
of this
the
one.
screen.
Okay.
Did he count those triggers?
Can we play this video?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Going forward, instantly going back, slightly turn, and then There, the front wheel slips.
Can you see what's depicted?
To me, this is more likely the key cycle he was talking about in this than what happened outside of John O'Keefe's, outside of Brian Albert's house. How many hours after John's body was found? It was picked up at, I believe, around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so that would be 10 hours. At 4:15. Oh, yeah. So roughly 10 hours after John O'Keefe was removed from Fairview 34. But there should be a trigger event on this one, because he said if you go forward, stop, and instantly puts it in reverse, it releases a trigger. Did he count that trigger event? We just saw what should be, according to what he's stating, a trigger event on the car. Forward, stop, instant reverse, back, forward. Interesting. But I really want to know if this is the MCU saying, nope, we don't want to give you all this throttle. You can only get 32% throttle or your wheels will keep spinning. A small deviation in the data is noted at the 9-second mark, where the steering wheel angle changes abruptly and the reversing speed drops from 24.2 to 23.6 on the following data point. While this data change is consistent with a pedestrian impact, how is this consistent? It cannot be confirmed as cause of the data change. It's not consistent that it only shifts this much. Pedestrian John O'Keefe was transported to Good Samaritan, where he was succumbed to his injuries. He was wearing a light-colored sweater jeans at the time of the collision, and examination was performed by Erie Squirty Bellow. The manner of death was listed as undetermined, funny, and the cause of death was blunt impact injuries to his head and hypothermia. I spoke to Trooper Proctor about the injuries that John O'Keefe had sustained. He appeared to have lacerations along his right hand and forearm. He also had a contusion along his right side of his head as well as his left side. The injuries to his left side appeared to have caused swelling of the brain. It is possible that he was hit by the right rear corner of the Lexus and then made secondary impact with the ground, causing the head injury. But he hit the back of his head on the ground. So how did he hit the front of his head on the ground? It was very little, not enough to track a cat. We should know, because it should be documented how many times the car was handled after Karen Reed. It really should be simple math, but I can guarantee no one actually kept track of the failure report, so they guess. Yeah, because he claims his tests is 4 key cycles after the one he claims is the one where she hits him. But how does he prove that? Because that's what we just saw should be a triggering event. His two drives should be a triggering event. But should it also be a triggering event when he starts and the wheels start spinning in the driveway? On what date and time did they do their own experiment with Karen Reed's car where they reversed it at Canton PD? I guarantee that's the data they used to say she reversed. They did this on the 1st of February. Kinematics analysis. Remember, kinematics, he didn't understand what kinematics was. This is just how you normally do it, blah, blah, blah. The pedestrian in this condition may not have assumed a significant portion of the speed of the striking due to the pedestrian striking the rear right corner. He was projected forward and to the side as in a sideswipe manner and not in line with center mass. Remember that for a picture I'm going to show you later. The VCH data shows the Lexus backing up at a high rate of speed. Using this data can show the distance the Lexus traveled and the approximate distance the Lexus was from pedestrian when it began to accelerate. They show a possible impact speed of 24.2 miles per hour. The pedestrian would have been approximately 62.51 feet from where the vehicle has started to accelerate in reverse. We've seen all of this 1,000 times. And visibility analysis, it's just that he could have been in the blind spot. But there should have been warnings going off all the time if he was back there. And he couldn't see anything. But the collision analysis, based on this investigation, the following series of events occurred. Investigation reveals Saturday, January 29th, approximately 0045 hours. Remember, he put in 0015 hours in the header of the report. A Lexus LX 570 was being operated by Karen Reed. The Lexus was stopped along the southbound travel lane in front and along the left side of Fairview Road in the town of Canton. At this time, passenger John O'Keefe had exited the vehicle. The Lexus traveled forward and stopped along the southbound travel lane. The Lexus then went into reverse and traveled backwards. After traveling for approximately 62 feet, the Lexus struck the pedestrian, John O'Keefe, along the shoulder of the southbound travel lane with its right rear. Post-impact with the Lexus, he was projected forward and towards the right for approximately 12 feet. Didn't he state that he was 7 feet off the road? He came to a final rest along the grass front of Fairview. Post-impact with the pedestrian, the Lexus continued in reverse before leaving the scene. That's another thing. Where's the triggering event for when she deaccelerates massively, not hitting the Jeep of Bukaki or Brian Higgins outside of the house, slams it into first gear, drives like a bat out of hell because in 4 minutes she has to be on First Meadows. Oh, by the way, no, they got it wrong. Because this is the old timing when they didn't figure out from the defense, with the defense help, that she couldn't have been at the scene at this time. So we know she weren't there because she was on One Meadows at 12:36. Witness statements. Massachusetts Police Detective Unit at the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, Michael Proctor and Bukaki interviewed witness and the operator of the Lexus. We can see their reports. They are not here. The following conclusions are made as a result of the compilation of evidence collected at the scene, the vehicle inspection, witness statements, and evidence uncovered through Norfolk SPDU investigation are a likely account of what occurred at the time of this collision. On Saturday, at the wrong time, being operated, that's the same we just read. Travel forward, stop, post-impact, yes. An inspection of the Lexus involved revealed no evidence of mechanical malfunction that may have contributed. There was no environmental factors or roadway defects that have contributed. Opinions. Throughout this investigation, it was determined to be a collision involving a single vehicle and a pedestrian. The primary cause being the Lexus operator, Karen Reed, had accelerated the vehicle at a high rate, even though the MCU only gave her 32% acceleration, and struck the pedestrian John O'Keefe along the roadway. She then left the injured pedestrian at the scene without providing any type of medical assistance. If all of the backup safety system in this vehicle was either covered by snow or defective in any manner, an attentive and reasonable operator would not have backed the vehicle up. An attentive and reasonable operator would have made sure that they could see what was behind them, clean the camera, sensors, and mirrors of any materials that would impede their operations before they proceeded to travel in reverse. The operator in this collision knew the pedestrian John O'Keefe had exited her vehicle. An attentive and reasonable operator would not have backed the vehicle up at such a high rate with knowing the possibility of a pedestrian in the area and snowy road conditions. Respectfully submitted, Trooper Paul. And it's not dated. Nope. Then we get into his look at what happened at One Meadows. Because they do the same as Aperture try to reconstruct it. How the Lexus and Chevy could have come together. And to me, it's funny because, again, when is this report made? Is it pre or past aperture? Because if this is made before aperture, aperture must be laughing all the way to the bank. Not only did they get a Lexus, they also got $400,000 for doing exactly the same work Trooper Paul already did. But why didn't Trooper Paul use any of this in the first trial? Because we didn't see what I'm going to show you now in the first trial. Trooper Paul never brought this out in the first trial. We have all seen this. It backs back, drives up, and then he does a vehicle inspection of the Chevrolet Traverse. And I'm interested in seeing any dates. During my inspection, I analyzed the rear of the Chevy for damages that was related to this collision. I did not find any damages that could be from this collision. There were 2 areas along the left and right side of the bumper that showed some discoloration of the plastic. Who was that mechanic who was there that day? Could he have done something to the plastic? The left rear tail light was measured to approximately 45 inches, blah, blah, blah. This is just technical stuff. We don't really need to know any of that. Still no date on any of this. And then the Lexus with the broken tail light. The Lexus's right tail light was not attached at the time of this inspection. The scratches along the right rear bumper and the scratches and dent above the tail light was still visible. The right rear tail light was measured to be approximately, again, doesn't really matter. It's technical stuff. Chevy and Lexus contact analysis. The Chevy and Lexus was placed with the left rear of both vehicles lined up. The Lexus's left tail light was in the same area as the left tail light of the Chevy. Lining up the vehicles in this matter shows the area where these vehicles would contact each other. And these pictures we didn't see in the first trial. Am I totally wrong on that one? We didn't see them before. The McAlbert's deposition will be gold. There's nowhere on earth that the bars on Karen's attorney are not going to hit them smack in the face with the truth. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how much they can get into. But did we see any of this during the first trial? Exactly, Pam. We saw this in the second trial, or something close to it, by Welcher. I don't believe we saw this picture because of the background. I think Welcher did it in the driveway. I still don't believe we saw this picture because the background, I think he did it in the driveway, but both vehicles was placed with the left rears, both vehicles touching. And we've seen this, how he just digitalized this and showed this couldn't have happened. And the funny thing, you can see this, I don't know how much you can see. This is the impact. So this is, they couldn't have touched each other. Does he know that this is actually meant to give when it hits something to not break people's bones? And this is also meant to give, so you could quash it. And she does hit it. We know this. Peter, he is going to change it in a second. This was just because there was no left tail light on the car. But thank you for 20 months. Not John's driveway. I thought he was in John's driveway with the 3D printing. But none of this could have happened because bumpers don't move. You know this. They are made out of diamonds. And then they are lined up to try and do them side on. to see if that would fix this. This would be the correct side to each other, but the angle is wrong. And then they try to line it up again to match the tail light. And is it hard to believe that if she bumped this car, that her bumper would bend so much that she would break the glass? Because this part of the glass, I could totally see she could break this off hitting the Chevy. But it couldn't have happened at all. There are... Oh, he's measuring his peen. 2.5 inches. I drove the Lexus in reverse and struck the right rear of the Chevy with the left rear of the Lexus while I was traveling under 1 mile per hour. The backup alarms made it an audible noise and appeared to be working properly. The Lexus left rear taillight did not touch the rear of the Chevy. The only evidence of these vehicles touching was brushing of the dirt, which is all fine. You have some brushing of the dirt down here, but you are only going at 1 mile per hour. We know she was going quite, because she just gunned it. She wasn't going 30 miles per hour, but she wasn't slow either. Please pass. The pepper says he wishes 2.5 inches. Well, it was a cold day when he did the measurement the last time. But thank you, please pass. Yeah, you can clearly see that snow is knocked off the traverse. So, but it's, if you do this, yeah, nothing happened, couldn't have happened. Or you do this, it's a different situation. The corners modern bumpers do not have any reinforcement to them. It's just a plastic cover, so the corners will have substantial give. That's the thing, because the corners is the first crumple zone, because back in the days, your knees were the first crumple zone. So they are actually meant to give. And Jen McCabe did specifically say that it was a mechanic at John's house, which was a weird thing to say. That was really weird. Why are they trying to make the taillights touch when that wasn't even what was shown in the video? Because this man is working without any knowledge other than what someone have told him. Can you check if this is true? She wasn't going fast when she was backing up and hit the SUV with enough force to rock it forward. She was going more fast than he was, I'll bet you that, because you can see she does slam it. Didn't AJ say the back wiper could have cracked it? Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Who calls a mechanic to your house? First of all, this is one of those things in the story that makes no sense. You just lost your son, and your bestest friend in the whole world you don't know, Jen McCabe and Carrie Roberts, who didn't know each other the day before, decides to bring over their sexual byproduct so they can stay in the house where they just lost the dad or the uncle. How shitty of a friend are you to drop off more kids at a house where they just lost a person? And why would a mechanic stop by? Yeah, well, I needed that tune job, and he only works Saturdays in snowstorms. Come on now. What's weird about that one? That entire Jen Carey drive-a-thon they had on the 29th or 30th, I don't remember one. I think they got a little mixed up in that story. It makes no sense if you use your mind. Why the hell would they be driving around? These two ladies had never met before, and they didn't know each other, and they bonded over making a timeline. They didn't know Mrs. O'Keefe, and still, they just drove over to her house and chucked off their sexual byproduct and said, hey, take care of our kids. We're just soccer moms. How does it make sense in anyone's mind listening to that story? Doesn't make sense. Thank you, Jamie. Jamie. What did Jamie say? Yeah, Carrie left her kid there at a house where someone just died. Maybe the kids wanted someone over there to hang out with so they didn't have to think about losing another parent. But I'm not sure I, as a parent, would think that was the bestest idea in the world. Because there's a lot of things you have to... I was the one who stood with all the shit when both my parents passed away. Trust me, if you had your sexual byproduct come to say hi to my kids, I would probably have said, could you take my kids with you so I just can have some peace and quiet, because I have a lot of things. I have family to contact. I have to figure out, is there any will? Is there any orders that I have to follow for the funeral? So could you take my sexual byproduct with yours? You don't drop it off at my house. Trust me, we wouldn't go Reebok shoe shopping after that one if you did it to me. I don't understand that. Why wouldn't you say, hey, I won't say her name, but we know it might be a tough day. We know the family might be. Do you want us to come pick her up? Her and our kid can go to Starbucks. We'll take her to the mall, take her to a movie, just to, you don't have to have all of this pressure on you. Or would you say, hey, we think it will be good for your kids, so here's our kids. See you later. I would offer, do you want me to take care of something? Should I take your son to a football game? Let's go trying to get his mind off of it, and you don't have to worry about him. I would never take my kids and drop it off at your house and said, you lost your son, you have these two kids crying all the time. Now you have my kids here. Make sure one of them doesn't get gluten. That's I would never do that. Jen and Carrie is about as considerate as they're honest. Yeah, I don't believe for 1 second that they did the drop-off kid stories. Because remember, they never ever talked to each other than that morning. And all of a sudden, she's picking her up. She doesn't know where she lives really, other than she drove that night. She knows her so well, she's going to pick her up with her daughter, drive her to another house, chuck her off there, then go back to Fairview 34, where they are only sitting outside for 7 minutes, or how long it was. They don't go inside the house. They never were at Fairview, by the way. And then they're going to go back home. They never talked to each other before, other than when they did the timeline, of course. How the prosecution could build a case on these two harpies shows you, Massachusetts, you are an effing mess. If this is what you have, these ladies who couldn't keep a story straight between the two of them, go F yourself. There's no way you would drop your kids off a house where everyone is crying. Kids don't understand death. No, you would offer, do you want me to take, the kids were small, do you want me to take them to the mall, get them a sundae, and they can be with my kid, and we can try and take the mind off it. We know you have a lot to do. No. Yeah. John's friend said he went and picked up the niece while they were looking for John. Yeah, but she was back again when they came home from the hospital. And don't forget there was a I don't know what that is. Well, they're just soccer moms. If John's niece wanted her boyfriend there. Where's the problem? She didn't want her boyfriend there. No one ever said someone wanted any kid there. No one ever said that. They just dropped kids off at the address. That's what she said. I mean, Paul O'Keefe, I most likely have said something wrong. Yes. Yeah, but then why do you drive your kids over there if it's so bad? It's the snow of the century. It's Snowgeddon. But you're still driving your kids around to hang out in some weirdo's place. Remember, they don't know the O'Keefes. They know John O'Keefe. Because him and Peggy wasn't talking. Paul, he was at the golf course and slamming into cars. None of them knew these people. And they apparently dropped off their kids at this address. And they made a carpool with people who didn't know each other. I'm not saying that the niece didn't want someone around her. But you as a parent, would you drop them off with Peggy O'Keefe that you never met, but you drove the beam roads to get to the hospital? You didn't know her? That entire story about, well, I went to pick her up. Why? You didn't know Peg O'Keefe at that time. Peg O'Keefe hardly talked to John O'Keefe because they were in a battle over these kids. And you want me to believe that you, as an outside parent who went shopping with John twice, you're going to drop your kids off at his house? Come on, common sense. That didn't happen. Yeah, the kid didn't want to babysit. Maybe she wanted to hang out with your girls, but you would have offered, come pick her up, she could be with us. You wouldn't say, well, let me drop my house off my kid off in a house full of crying people. Peggy lied on the stand about Patrick. He arrived after Karen arrived. She also lied about Karen's going uninvited. Call records prove she called Paul and he testified she asked to see the kids. Yeah, we know that. And Paul testified to that in the first trial. What do you mean, these people? I wouldn't leave my kids with Peggy and Macbeth. No way. No, that's not the people I want to hang out with. That's not exactly right. Jen McCabe did know O'Keefe. She lived in the same neighborhood when the sister passed and John moved in, and Jen's daughter and John's niece had sports in school. Yeah, but she didn't know John. She claimed she was his bestest friend because of school, but she never really hung out with him. Well, he came over sometimes, but she never really talked to him. This friendship is kind of like the friendships I like. We call each other once every month and say, yeah, I was thinking about you the other day. I had something to tell you. I forgot what it was. Yeah, I wanted to call you too, but I had a steak in the oven. Yeah, call you next month. That's my kind of relationships. None of these people knew John. You can't tell me all of these crying, salty, catching mitt-looking women really loved John this much. Oh, we helped with the family. Fuck you, you didn't. Oh, we were so in love with Karen and so glad when they found each other. Oh, fuck you. You wanted to bang John O'Keefe because all of you had these doughy, sad men you hang out with, and John was a bit of fun. Looking at his autopsy report, maybe a little too fun because there was a widowmaker in there. But still, none of these ladies were good friends with John O'Keefe. I bet you all of them wanted to see what he had in his pants. But I bet you none of them were as close with him as they all claimed after. Yeah, I think he was high on the list on the Canton housewives. I get spicy sometimes. The damage to the Lexus rear tail light was not from striking the Chevy. I agree it was by a piece of metal being pushed in there and ripped out. There would have to have been damage to the Chevy in the area where the Lexus tail light struck. The Lexus would have to push the Chevy's bumpers inward for the Lexus taillight to contact the rear tailgate of the Chevy, and this would have caused damage to the Chevy's bumper. There was no damage to the bumper, only a discoloration. After analyzing both vehicles, it appears the damage to the Chevy would have had to been in the area of the taillights and the chrome trim. The video shows the Chevy without any damage to that area. The Chevy, yeah. But all of this is all we know. Now we come to the part no one knew before this was released. When my husband died, my sister-in-law was taking my son for a night, or my neighbor would take my son to get him out of the house. Yeah, because you have to go into solve problem mode. You're not going into mom mode at that time. You have so many things. It was the same when I lost my parents within 4 years, and my mom had the big C. I'm the only kid who lived in the same city, so I was helping my dad a lot with taking care of her. And when she passed away on the hospice, he called me and said, it's happened. I can't handle it. You have to call your siblings. So I was the voice of doom. I was the one who called all of my siblings and said, yeah, mom passed last night, and I'm gonna talk to you about the funeral and stuff like that. I had to call my ex-wife and said, can you please break this to my kids, or do you want me to do it? And she said, no, I'll do it, which was very nice of her, so I didn't have to handle it over the phone. Then 4 years later, my dad passed. I'm the only one living in the city. Luckily, my sister got home after he had his heart attack and could say goodbye to him in the hospital. But again, I'm the guy who had to fix the funeral, had to talk to the funeral home, talk to the priest, make sure the newspaper has everything. I wasn't much of a friend, dad, boyfriend, anything in that period, because you are in crisis mode. I didn't get to really realize I lost both my parents till 4 months later when I had my breakdown, because I was just in crisis mode. I was fixing things. You shouldn't give me kids at that time. I couldn't have handled that. Empire. When my sister passed away when I was 14, my sister came and got me so mom could deal with stuff. Yeah. Your sister didn't come and drop off 2 small kids and say, hey, can you take care of these? Because we need to go make a timeline. But thank you, Empire. Those beaches all called her the babysitter with benefits. They are mean girls. Yes, it's just like the movie. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of this, because what we didn't know in the first trial, because we didn't see this, and I have to believe with the dates on this, it's made before the first trial, and with the people in it, this is where I say, why didn't you just use this? You had this on hand. Why did you need aperture? Pedestrian contact analysis. The damage to the right rear of the Lexus appeared to be from where the pedestrian John O'Keefe struck the vehicle. Sergeant Yuri Bukaki was placed in that location to show the approximate location the pedestrian's body was oriented when the collision occurred. Sergeant Bukaki and John O'Keefe is approximately 6'3". Sergeant Bukaki was holding a cup in his right hand and had his body oriented sideways with his right side facing the Lexus. The damage to the Lexus, and I'm going to put it up so you can enjoy this lovely man. The damage to the Lexus and the injuries to John O'Keefe lined up with this orientation and is most likely the way John O'Keefe was standing at the time of this collision. Can anyone look at this beautiful man beast, Sergeant Bukaki, and tell me what doesn't line up with what he described in the collision report before? No one? No one? The glass should be a red Solo cup? No. Remember when he said he was sideswiped, not a center of mass hit? Where would this car hit him? Right in the hip, which is center of mass. His own photo evidence shows it couldn't have happened this way. This is exactly the same thing Aperture made. Look at this picture over here. Half his body is in front of the quarter panel. If he was struck in this way, Bender, you are coming to work with me. If he's struck in this line, this is not a swipe strike. He would have been knocked backwards this way because it'll been full impact in his hip rear area. They want you to think that he was struck on the arm and spun around, fell, and hit his head. But their own picture shows that at least half his body is in line with the rear quarter panel. You can't even fudge your own evidence. Come on now. Look at this. His elbow is at his side. They had these pictures and still claimed it was a side swipe. The angle of the photo is taken is also deceptive because it's not centered on the arm, but taken from above the arm, so it makes his arm look more lined up with the tail light that is lower than his arm. Well, anyway, spoilers. You'll see in a second. Trooper Paul did say it could have been a side swipe when Trooper Paul went backwards and sideways on the witness stand. Yeah, he said it was a side swipe. We just read the report saying a side swipe. A side swipe would have been if his arm had been out front. This is what Lally postulated. His arm was like this. Trooper Paul was more, Bender is not that bendy, like this. The arm got struck and he was spun around, did a period, did a 360, hit his head, flew up into the air and landed on the ground. This was Trooper Paul's very scientific explanation. Lally said, no, he had his arm fully extended, got hit in the arm, and died. But the picture they just shows his arm was tucked by his side. So if you want to make injuries here, you have to hit his arm tucked at his side. And what is right behind your arm if it's tucked at your side? Your hip. Do you know what would happen to your hip if you're hit by a vehicle? Boing. It's a center of mass hit. It's not a side swipe. Their own photo evidence shows that the theory is wrong. I don't know if Bukaki is trying to show off the guns in this picture, but it makes 100%. What in the hell? Can I? No, I can't because this is a PDF. I can't enlarge this. This is just stupid. How they spent millions trying a case where this is the evidence they have to try and prove John O'Keefe was hit by Karen Reed. How? Well, I have the same kind of pecs. I call them moops. Yeah, but look at this picture. It makes no sense that anyone would be standing like this. He's not at the nightclub dancing. Why would he be flailing his arm around like this? Is it to try and show off the guns? Then you need to hit them more, Hickey. So for 400,000, Aperture brought a Lexus and John O'Keefe's clothing and copied Trooper Paul's report. Yes. The only thing they got extra from Aperture was a 3D scan of the cars, and Trooper Paul wasn't man enough to blue himself. That's probably why they never ever showed this. No, it was a different bar association that Aperture was sponsoring. That was the General Boston one, and Bev was named Person of the Year for the Norfolk one. Why put Aperture up if they did all this nonsense? Because they wanted someone. Let me wildly speculate. They wanted someone who had a title to say it, because Trooper Paul was a babbling little fool who got taken aback by words like science and who said he talked to the crime scene. So they wanted someone with a degree to come in and do the work. But my question is, because if we just finish this one, opinions throughout this investigation, it was determined that the damage to the right rear was more likely caused by the Lexus striking John O'Keefe than striking the rear of the Chevy when the Lexus was backing out of the garage. Only if you believe that John O'Keefe was leaning over. Diagrams, this, we have seen all of this before. I'm just seeing if anything new. No, all of this is stuff we have had before. This is the readout from Boss. None of us can read this because it's just tech data. Yes. If I go all the way back to the start of this report, it's the only date requested, or it says date requested. Or the date the requesting agency called them was 29 January 22 at 2:30. So this is when allegedly Trooper Paul is alerted to this investigation and starts his investigation of the accident. And then I have a problem, because I can see here on February 1st at 10:45, he does an analysis. Okay. But I can't see when this report is written. There's no dates on any of this other than the initial report is requested, and I go to the barracks or the Sally Port and does my investigation. There are no dates when he wrote his report, when he finished his report, if he revised his report. There's no data on that I could see on his pictures from his pedestrian report. There's no date on any of that. I don't know when this was made. It doesn't say, he doesn't write anywhere when he did any of these investigations. So my big question after reading Trooper Paul is, I saw exactly the same data provided by Aperture in trial 2. Why didn't I see all of that information in trial 1? Why didn't I see the impact to the arm report? Why didn't I see the backup report? It must have been there. Or did Trooper Paul write a new report after the first trial? If so, where's the first report? If he didn't do that, why spend $400,000 plus a Lexus to get aperture in, other to try and bullshit the jury by putting someone up there with a degree. There is no new information compared to this report or the aperture report. Then I'm wondering, why do we need to have an aperture report delivered to us? Aperture was another 500,000 out the window. They even were so bad that we found out that pursuing a degree apparently is enough down there. But is it? Is it just another cover-up that that they are trying to do by kind of slapping some, hey, but these guys are experts. They're really smart guys, you know. So you have to trust them. Was it because the defense had ARCA and they knew that this weasel little little weirdo, Mr. Trooper Paul, couldn't hack it? Was that why they thought, well, we need someone who sounds like they should know what they're doing, but they are just doing exactly the same thing over and over and over and over again that Trooper Paul already did? Why should the taxpaying public of Massachusetts pay extra money for these people? There's nothing new unless Trooper Paul lied and backdated his report to try and say, hey, well, I was a smarty pants too. It's I'm just wondering. Hey, I'm just asking questions, you know. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong, but I just know reading this, I see nothing in this report that's different from the aperture report. Nothing. Check Discord. Well, you check Discord. Maybe my questions will be answered. Why the hell I didn't want that. Oh, it's a Michael Morrissey email. Thank you, Jemima. I muted my Discord because when you and Mo are just chit-chatting, I need a new Discord to important stuff that I don't have to blank out. Michael Morrissey to Adam Lally, Laura McLaughlin, Lynn Belland, and Brian Tolley. Brian Tolley is everywhere. Subject, Judson B. Welcher, Executive Vice President. Caution, blah, blah. It's a center outside of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts mail system. Oh, he sent it from his private email. Why is the DA sending emails from his private email to his workers? Andy Klein sold his company to Aperture, which is a large national company with forensic and mechanical engineers. The enclosed resume of Judge Welcher seems to fit our bill. I'd like to get a discovery package together to send to him so we can see whether he can provide an opinion that might help us out with the case. Thank you. Well, he couldn't. Thank you, Jemima. Bill ruled against the defense when they wanted to ask Welcher about Paul's report. He said he didn't rely on it. I know that. But what new product did they get that they didn't have? That's the worst part about all of this, because we are again looking at an expenditure for the taxpayer of Massachusetts in the range of 500,000 at least. Brennan, 500,000 at least. Aperture, 500,000 at least. pay to Lally and all of the rest of the gang of idiots, yeah, you're getting close to probably, I don't know how much this trial has cost, $4 or $5 million. All of it because you couldn't even use your own idiots' shitty reports. So you went out and hired someone else who made a report. The only difference was one of them blew up himself. And we all know from Arrested Development that people who blew themselves, yeah. Slapped a PhD name on an AD report. Exactly. We are supposed to believe that John O'Keefe was hit by 6,000 pounds at 24 miles per hour without suffering a single major injury, but broke his skull from landing on the ground. Yeah, he was Superman, but grass was his kryptonite. Exactly, anime. All of the Commonwealth's experts were all tied one way or another to Fanning and Crawford and the company they were using to double dip. Whiffen, Hyde, etc., all the same crew. Maybe. I'm not enough into the law about all the companies. I've seen stories online. I don't know. He didn't rely on it, but he did the exact same test that Paul did and reached the exact same conclusions. The only thing that Aperture didn't do that Trooper Paul did, not Paul O'Keefe, Trooper Paul, they didn't mention the 9-degree turning of the wheel, and they didn't say the sudden deceleration of 0.6 miles per hour was when they struck, because they wouldn't testify to when John O'Keefe was struck. So you actually got less evidence by spending more money. The rest, exactly the same. A man leaning forward in an awkward angle to make the facts mold to your theory instead of your theory matching the facts. Arca was like 20,000 and did everything. I bet you Arca was a lot more, and you paid for that as well, because most of what they did was done for the feds. How much did the Commonwealth pay Whiffen and Hyde? Has anyone found that out yet? I know it wasn't as much as Aperture, but it is outrageous amount for their lies. I mean, testimony. I don't know. An expert runs somewhere from $350 to in the thousands of dollars an hour. Depends on expertise. If you want to see a big disparity in expert wages, you go watch the JD case. JD spent his money well on experts. AH got Dr. Smeagol. So it's a big difference. Most experts in these types of cases probably make around $500 an hour, roughly. And you can say, well, that's outrageous. Well, it's not. It's probably a fair price for what they're doing. What Lexus did Bukaki use for that photo? The tail light was intact. What is the date? I can't tell you the date, Cabby. My big problem is I was given this report. Well, for me, when I had my lunch, my wonderful mod team are always working diligently to make me look good. Thank you so much, mods. Except Valhalla, he doesn't make anything. But I got this report and I started reading it. The only dates I can find is when it's requested, when he goes to the Sally port, and when he orders the Toyota Techstream. He is ordered to make the collision report on the day of John's passing at 2:30. At that point, they didn't even have Karen Reed's Lexus. None of them had seen it. None of the injuries to John O'Keefe's body in any way, no matter, well, normally when someone is missing a shoe, it means they've been hit by a car. Bullshit. No injury on John O'Keefe in any way signaled a car collision. But at 2:30, according to the report, while Bukaki and Trooper Proctor is driving to Dedham or wherever, whatever the place where Karen's parents live. While they're driving, they call the crash reconstruction unit and say, we need a guy to do a crash report on this. He then arrives at the Sally Port on the 1st of February and downloads with his boss reader the tech data. Then he uses the Toyota specific tech reader, but not until the 1st, 2nd of February, the year after. What? On the 3rd of February, he's doing brake tests to try and prove the backing up, stopping, doing the thing theory. So he must have seen the tech stream data and thought, oh my God, this is what have happened. But we also heard they couldn't read the tech stream data from the boss machine. So I don't know when anything was written in this report, other than I think it's maybe highly likely that they requested him to come to the Sally Port on the 1st of February. I think that's correct. That's when he went out there. He claims he went to the crime scene. I'm pretty sure he testified he didn't do that. Other than that, there are no dates. When did you do your testing, which should always be noted in a report? It's not mentioned. Seeing this and seeing aperture, I think both of these reports that we have had must have been at least altered slightly after the first trial, because he got the time wrong at 12:45. So that part must have been before the first trial, where the defense could disclose that, well, you're wrong, because she must have left at 12:30. But the way with the arm and stuff like that, it looks way too much like aperture. Way too much. There's something absolutely wrong with all of this. I don't know. Still not convinced the Commonwealth asked Whiffen or Hyde to even consider whether the Huslong search could have been at 12:27 or 6:23. Yeah, they were told to look at the 6:23. Paul O'Keefe admittedly said John looked like he did 6 rounds with Mike Tyson. Yeah. None of the injuries to John O'Keefe was in any way consistent with someone who had been hit by a car. Especially if you look at the picture they showed you of the impact, where he's either standing like this to make it fit, or he is standing with his arm in front of him. You can't see it because that's why we have Bender. If they want to tell you, Bender, I really need your shoulder to be more flexible, that he was standing like this and getting hit, so he had striations on his arm, it must have shattered his hip. There's no way his hip wouldn't at least have bruising on it, and his legs would have bruising on it. Anyone who tells you that the reason why we instantly thought this was a pedestrian strike by a car was because we found one Nike shoe at the scene should be fired, should be laughed out of court, because shoes lie, but bodies doesn't. This is why we don't look at shoes at autopsies. We look at the body. This is why his cause of death was determined to be an injury to the head. Manner of death was undetermined. That's why no one wanted to tell you why he died. They could tell you how, but not why. Because no one who is a medical professional would ever attest that this was consistent with being struck by a car. When you go out today and you go on TwitSwat And all the aunties will sit there and tell you, well, she had the throttle at 75% open and she didn't care. Well, go back in Trooper Paul's report, because the MCU, which is the motor control unit, is smart enough to say, well, she doesn't need all that power. We only get a 30% power. Why did they keep talking about 75% power in the trial? They knew that wasn't correct. She might have had the gas pedal at 75, but the engine didn't deliver it to the road. Because in my absolutely super unqualified opinion, the key cycle we saw in that, whereas the gas pedal is at 75% and the MCU says, no, you can get 30%, is when they back out of the driveway at Karen's parents. Because you saw all the snow on the road there. There's no reason why the MCU, if you're backing up on a perfectly good drive, well, mostly drive road, would say, no, you don't need this engine power. If you look at this and you still reach the conclusion, she was drunk, she slammed it in reverse, she gunned the car, and she hit him. We don't know where she went after that because, hey, who knows? Yes, Higgins' Jeep, who no one saw until the first trial, was there. She couldn't touch it. How she got home, no one knows. But if you are one of those aunties who keep sitting here and talk about, well, 75%, and she hit him with a car and she's a killer, read this report. This report proves to me that they have no evidence to make the statements they did. Because, yes, she has the gas pedal at 75%, but the engine wasn't giving her 75%. That's one thing. They have the time wrong. I don't trust any of their key cycles because they are missing the key cycle outside of Karen Reed's parents' house. All of this, to me, talks about a shitty investigation that was made to hide the real criminals, who I don't know who was. All I know is the jury got it right. As Trooper Paul proved, Karen Reed did not strike John O'Keefe in any matter that the police believed she did. But it also makes me wonder. It's been 2.5 months now. I have made a lot of views talking about this case still, because I can talk about all these aunties, crusty panties, twisted tragedies, lama dama drama, all of these idiots that keep sitting every single day on the twit talking about this case, can't accept anything. I'm wondering, when I see, and I would really hope that we can see some of this in the Morrissey documents, has the DA's office in any way compensated these online trolls? Have they given them preferential treatment to help attack Karen Reed or to talk bad about Aiden? That's one of the revelations I want to see if we can prove in the Morrissey, because it's unnatural that these people keep sitting every single day. Yesterday, Krusty had 20 tweets about Aiden and Karen Reed. This is unnatural. And with the way Morrissey is buttering up the buns of the the mainstream media, I'm wondering, because Karen Reed got all of us alternative people, alternative media on her side. Did they try and build an alternative opposition? I don't know anything. I wish, when I finally get to read those 4,000 pages, that I don't only see Caffey Daffy in there, that I see that they actually had contact with Caffey Daffy. I want to see that Plevin, because I can't believe he's this stupid. And I know Plevin isn't stupid. He's just a grifter who found out, hey, I'm not good enough to grift the pro Karen Reed. Aiden has that market. I'm going to grift the short boss, anti-Reeds. I want to know if DA Morrissey had any side channels to some of the most horrendous people I've ever seen online. And trust me, I was in politics. I had death threats. And I still believe Krusty is one of the worst people I've ever interacted with. If Morrissey was helping her, that's going to be a whole nother funny little thing. Sorry, I was ranting. Must be after the first trial, he knew what kinematics is in the report. Yeah, because he didn't know that at the stand. Buttered buns, new tea. I have a lot of new teas that I don't make, but I should make. The aperture guy was just as ridiculous as Trooper Paul. Yeah, but you know this as a lawyer. You slap a PhD on it and send it in front of the jury. It sounds way better than I did 160 hours online. Science and stuff. This guy could at least say, well, I went to school. I didn't learn much, but I did go to school. Yes, and I think a lot of people, I don't know if any of you have followed that Blake Lively. I covered the first thing. Blake Lively, Paul Adoni, Camoni, something. And I covered it because, oh, this sounds interesting. And instantly, I found out that both sides have before this even hit the media, really, they had rabid fans on both sides attacking the other side. And this is the new reality. You will use people like me. Well, I'm a shitty little channel with less than 1,000 subscribers, so you won't use me. You'll find something great. And you will make them influence people. That's the new influencer won't be, I only eat keto. The new influencer will be people who will be used to steer you to have an opinion in the correct way. And in that Baldoni Lively, it's, to me, I can't prove it. I just see certain things instantly when I started just talking about it. Both sides have some kind of arrangement, if it's monetary or whatever, with some really big names out there who have been really hammering it. And when they cover it, yeah, it's chum in the water for people like me. We go, oh, this is interesting. Let me look at this. But both sides seem to have a PR campaign running. And then Blake Lively apparently is an idiot who starts suing YouTubers. Don't do that. That's the Barbara Streisand effect. And people will just say, why are you doing that? You may be fishy. Aiden has them and is dumping them one by one on TwitSwat. I thought he said he had some of the emails. He didn't have all 4,000s, and he couldn't share all of it because of his own case. Did I get that wrong? I'm trying to follow along. I love that people still question the defense strategy for 2.0 after Ken Reed was acquitted. Well, this is because people want the best of both worlds. They wanted someone to be found guilty that wasn't Karen Reed. Because I see a lot of people on our side who are like, well, why didn't they do this? And why didn't they do this with Brian Albert or Colin Albert? Or because it's not Matlock. In a court case, your only job is to make sure the one sitting next to you is found not guilty or get as little time in prison as possible. One thing that absolutely didn't work with the jury in the first trial was the third-party culprit defense. So if they had lined up a full week of questioning about the Alberts, they would most likely have had another hung trial, because the jury isn't there to solve a crime. This isn't Jessica Fletcher who, I go into court and I'll say this, and then it's the guy who runs the lighthouse and he's in the back of the courtroom, and yeah, we arrest him and we've solved a crime. The defense only had one job, and they did their job. Make sure Karen Reed walked out a free woman. Well, she got an OUI, she's convicted. Yeah, Krusty, you have pled guilty to way worse than an OUI. So all of this, why didn't they do that? And why didn't? Because that's not their job. Will John O'Keefe ever have justice? No. I am very, very pessimistic about that. I don't believe John O'Keefe will ever have justice, because these people will clam up. It'll be like my prom date. They don't have a reason to talk. They don't have enough to pressure them to talk. The feds are not coming riding over, no, it's the cavalry, riding over the hill at dawn. It's not going to happen. And they don't have anything they can pressure anyone to spill the beans with. So unless someone somewhere magically finds a ring camera or something that can prove anything, we will never, ever have justice for John O'Keefe. And it pains me to say so, because I wish this was Matlock, where they would drop who the real killer was just in the last 5 minutes before commercials. But sadly, that's not how trial works. And I believe that the defense was very smart to keep the third-party culprit defense to a minimum, because it got way too convoluted trying to keep all of these names in and out of each other. So, yes, I wish Adam Jackson could stand up and point at someone and say, "You did it," and everyone would stand up and applause. But that's just not real. Yeah, this, I agree 100% with you, Jess. The mistake in number one was for trying to defend her and prosecute the other party. You can't do that. Did Karen Reed ever leave that crazy state? She asked for, because she is technically, she's not allowed to leave the state without talking to a PO officer, I think. But she did apply if she could go to Florida. Oh, this is a good way to grift your late stream tonight. If Valhalla had his stream set up, I could redirect to it, but Valhalla doesn't have that because he's a bad grifter. Speaking of Blake Lively, she's suing tonight's Lego guest, Lethal Lauren, tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Yes, go check out her. She's one of the people that, and this is when your PR campaign runs stupid. I remember Karen Reed saying the text we know about where the least shocking, the text we knew about was the least shocking compared to the others we haven't seen yet. Interesting. Oh yeah, and please join the Discord and do all the YouTube things. There's a lot of people in here today. Please, if you haven't already, join us. I am gunning hard for, well, I was gunning for 20,000. Then my subscriber count just died completely. So I'm just going for 19,710 now, before my 3-year birthday on my channel, where we will be doing another giveaway, most likely some Legos. Yeah, Karen is still on probation, so she can't leave the state. That's where the civil suits come in. John O'Keefe's niece and nephews should sue all of them except Karen Reed. On what ground? It's so easy to say, well, it's the same with people saying Karen Reed is going to own Massachusetts. Bev's going down for corruption. No, she's not. Anyone who tells you that is lying to you. Bev is the most protected person in this entire trial. She's not going down for corruption. No way. How are you going to prove she is corrupt in any way? It's not going to happen. Do we all wish a lot of things would happen? Yeah. But it's not going to happen. Civil suits against the McAlberts, they haven't been convicted of anything. There's no one no evidence found by the police linking them to the murder of John O'Keefe. How would you sue them? It's just it's not the way the world works. And the police intentionally didn't do their job, so you can't sue anyone because there's no proof of anything. And this is what makes me so absolutely mad about Massachusetts. Because how can you sit on your flat asses and accept it? It seems like you people and the ones we see around all of the streamers are the only one who thinks this is absolutely BS. I know Mike's think that, oh, Meatball Morrissey is done next year. He only has 4% in the polls. Well, trust me, I've been in politics a long time. You don't look at polls a year out. You don't even start working the polls till you're 3 months before an election. Because you know one truth about all the other truth. Unless someone makes a big ruckus, 85% will vote exactly the same way they voted the last time. And when I hear his opposition, I'm sorry. I know some of them have been on some channels and talked about running against him. As I said to Aiden, I haven't seen enough from them. Yeah. You want to do it different? How? Tell me you're going to fire the entire top layer of the DA's office. Tell me on your watch, someone like Lally, who's been working 25 years and can't even follow Rule 14, he would be fired. And you would sue him for all the overtime pay he racked up last year. Because this guy haven't earned a cent of the money he made. He can't do his simple job after fucking 25 years. And what does these opposition to Lally or to Meatball Morrissey do? Yeah, well, I want to change stuff, and I work with families, and I really want to. I did a lot of stuff, and yeah, oh yeah, it's bad. Give me some fire and fucking brimstone. Tell me that you're gonna burn the fucker down and build it up from the ground. But sadly, no. It's gonna be business like always, because one thing in politics, you all kiss the same asses to get the same money. Sadly, that's how it is most of the time. Well, you are always welcome, almost an angel. I remember at the grand jury tour, Paul said he didn't finish it. Yeah, and I don't believe for 1 second this was finished before the first trial. Baker, do you have divide side in Denmark? Example, Democrat, Republicans, Independent, Green Party. My last election I ran in, we were 13 different parties. You have it easy. Oh, we have a libertarian. My city council had 13 different parties and 2 people who ran outside of parties. That's when you know you need to know how to move in the political circles. You don't have just 2 candidates. In Denmark, it's not blue no matter who, or red until you're dead. But still, we have the same rules. 85% will vote exactly the same way they did the last time, unless something big is out there. That's why I'm not sure that anything is going to change with what those candidates have said so far. Well, it's a year out. Yeah, you fucking start building your ground game now. You don't start a week before. You start now. You need this movement, which is across the board. You won't want that to get behind you. I'm just going to do what I always do. I'm going to go kiss the big donors and say, well, nothing's going to change, but vote for me. I'm a new person. I hate politics. I don't know. Will could wish the Alberts drink so much, what would that they lose their tongue and speak accidentally about the real night, the beat and the dog. These are professional drinkers. They don't talk. I bet you this family has more skeleton buried in their backyard, front yard, and closets than most others. And even if they talk, they'll drink at bars where the one they talk to also has a few skeletons in someone else's backyard. It's not gonna happen. What are the parties? You have the Unity List, which is the former communist parties. Then you have the Socialist Folks Party, which is a more mellow part of the Communist Party back in the day. Then you have the Free Green, which is some kind of weird environment Islamic socialist party. You have the Radicals, which is the former kind of center party, have turned hard left on social things and still is kind of right on economic things. You have the Social Democrats, that's the big middle of the road party. You have Left, who is the big party on the right. Don't think about it. You have the Conservatives, who isn't that conservative anymore. Then you have the Danish People's Party, which is, it used to be the far right, which is re-immigration, and you can pay too much in tax. Now it's the Social Democrats plus 5% on the immigration policies. Then you have the new, how the hell do you translate that? New borgerlig. That's New Borgerlig. I can't translate that. Who is the old Danish People's Party, but a little more with lower taxes. Then you have, I can't remember what he calls his party. You have another guy who's kind of like the New Borgerlig. He used to be the head of that, and they broke up. Then you have the Liberal Alliance, which is not liberal because liberal in Denmark means right wing, that you want as low taxes and as much liberty as possible. Then you have, what the hell? The Alternative. The Alternative was made by a guy who used to have a camp, a theater camp thing. And it's mostly for people who like to sit in drum circles and smoke weed and do politics in a new way, and they don't do anything. I think that's what we have right now in our parliament. And then locally, you'll have like local parties as well. Last I knew, the one meatball challenge had less than $100 in his campaign fund. Even Juna has less than 50,000 compared to my meatballs 500,000. Yeah, and that's why you need to be out. Even right now, you have to do the behind the scenes. Meatball is dangerous. We're going to lose the DA's office. We have to get someone new in who will try and placate all of this, bury it a little bit, and then just keep the business rolling, which is most likely what at least two of these candidates will try to do. Or you have someone who comes in, and I don't give a fuck what party you're from, and says, Sandra Birchmore is a blight on this state. Karen Reed, Garcia, the guy who just got nicked yesterday for extorting a weed company, Trooper Paul, Trooper Proctor, Trooper Bukaki, Trooper Lally, Trooper Tully, Fanning, Farham, the one from Birchmore, all of the ones from Birchmore who wasn't arrested or chucked off the job. All of this is BS. That trooper in Boston who effed the 13-year-old kid We have a fucking big problem, and I don't want to play party politics. I want a clean house. Make that groundswell. Then become a politician when you sit there. At least give it 6 months where you try to change something, and then you can become one of the other fat cats. But I want a candidate. I want to see a candidate rather burn up in an attack on the establishment instead of this BS. I'm sorry. Do you think it would be better to not have parties, only people? No, because people will. I don't mind that you have parties, because then you know, okay, this person is probably gonna be this way ideologically. The big problem is I've been a member of 3 parties. I got elected for one. I left it because they changed their position. Then I jumped into a new one, and I left that because they shit on everything they promised the voters in the election. And now I'm without a party, because parties shouldn't move. Of course, they should look at reality, but if you're gonna get elected on, I'm gonna lower taxes, and the first thing you do is raise taxes, well, I can't trust you anymore. Then it's politics. I hate politics. It all makes perfect sense now. Trooper Paul's testimony would have been destroyed on cross, so they gave Welcher, who someone had a PhD, but when the defense found out about this report, the judge to be continued. Oh, I read too fast. Well, you also would have to they really want you to just pay all of your, well, you shouldn't even make money, because hey, the state will provide for you. It's just communism hidden behind some flower power. They're going to go out in the next election. I think your problem is that you will have these internal ones where the one who have sucked the most D in a year will be the candidate. And that's not the people's candidate, it's the fat cats candidate, and they won't rock the boat. Where did the other one? Allowed Welcher to use it in his PowerPoint as his independent findings analysis. His degree was just to give it the report credit. Yeah, I can't see the difference between Welcher and this one, but sadly, that was another crock of BS that was served to everyone by the wonderful DA's office in NAFA country. By the way of Michael Morrissey, a man who spends more money trying to run cases that he'll lose than he does on fixing all the real problems that they do have in that state. But I'm going to end it now. I might be joining a stream tonight at 7 p.m. Your time with Boston Amy and Red Kelly. I can't remember what their show is called. They have a bad girl show, a bad kids show, something like that. If I can stay awake, I'll be joining that. If I can't, I'll be doing something when I wake up again. If you don't mind weak men who drinks light beer, yeah, light beer, like sexing a canoe, fucking close to water, and you like men with long hair, go check out Valhalla and Dave tonight when they are going to interview and build Lego at 9 p.m. The rest of you, go out, enjoy the world. Remember, all of us who doesn't live in Massachusetts, luckily doesn't pay for all of this BS. Love you all. Please do the YouTube things. See you all.
What exhibit are you referring to?
I'm going to make this 100, Your Honor.
All right.
100.
100.
Because it is 100%
100%.
correct.
Objection, Your Honor.
So you literally built a cannon
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, talk time with Amy and Kelly.
All right, I'm in love.
Go back. Please do that again. Oh, that was the cutest thing I've ever seen.
While I'm waiting for this, did you, whether it's true or not, believe that Mr. Randolph had slept with your wife?
I wouldn't care.
You wouldn't have cared?
No,
Did you believe he had slept with your wife?
no,
Did you believe he slept with your mother-in-law?
probably did. Everybody has.
So there-
Everybody has.